guys, Prowl 1701 here. And my question is, what do you think makes Doctor Who unique? Different than any other television show? Doctor Who has enjoyed a longevity that few shows can really achieve. It's the longest running science fiction series of all time, Guinness Book of World Records. How does a sci-fi show run 41 seasons, not counting TV movies and specials and all that stuff even? I think it's just that the DNA of the show is so strong. In a show where you can travel anywhere in time and anywhere in space, not just one of those things, because other shows do at least one of those things. You have Star Trek where you can travel in space, Star Wars where you can travel in space, all sorts of sci-fi shows that travel in space. And then you also have shows that travel in time, like, say, Quantum Leap or Time Tracks. But to have a show that does both of those concepts together, to travel in time and space, the show can pretty much do anything it wants. You can go anywhere, anywhen. Another planet, an alien planet, Earth in the past, Earth in the present, Earth in the future. You can do anything. The only limits are your imagination and the creative decisions of the people running the show and writing for the show. And the fact that Doctor Who, I got a crick in my neck, can do all of these different things basically makes it possible for this show to really be any genre. You can have a horror episode one week. You can have a historical episode one week, a drama episode, a comedy, a sci-fi futuristic space show, a western the next, a sci-fi western. You can do all of these different kinds of genre. Doctor Who, from a certain point of view, is almost an anthology series, except for it's an anthology series that often has a lot of the same cast in it. But the fact that, like an anthology show where every week you're getting something different, Doctor Who can do that. You can have seasons of Doctor Who where the stories are all just vastly different from each other, or eras where the stories are vastly different from each other. And I think that adds to the longevity of the show, is that it can have something for everyone. You like horror stuff? We have episodes for that. You like funny episodes, silly episodes that don't take themselves so seriously? Think Crimson Horror, or The Romans, or The Unicorn and the Wasp, stuff like that. We've got you covered. Do you like historicals, something like Thin Ice, or the Aztecs, or the Reign of Terror, the Highlanders, Black Orchid? We got that covered. Do you like sci-fi futuristic stuff? We got that covered. All of these different, do you like horror in the future? Like very Outer Limits like stuff, or Isaac Asimov. If you like a futuristic horror story, we can do that, Mummy on the Orient Express. Or you can do something totally different like Flatline. There's nothing like Flatline out there. Or Blink. Nothing like Blink out there. This show can do all that. And I think that's one of the reasons it's so successful. And then, of course, the fact that the main cast can change out without feeling like you're leaving any of the audience behind. You have a way to change the entire cast and still make the show succeed. And that is key to the DNA in the show. The DNA of the show is built on change, always has been. But especially even going from the first Doctor to the second Doctor, which of course are very different eras of the show. The Hartnell era and the Troughton era are very different eras. The Troughton era and the Pertwee era, very different eras. The Troughton era to the Hinchcliffe era, very different eras. The Hinchcliffe era to the Williams era, very different, and so on and so on and so on. So you have this ability, one, where the companions only stay for so long, and then they leave for whatever reason, sometimes a good reason, sometimes a bad reason. But the companions can rotate in and out because the Doctor is the constant. But then they have this genius way of rotating out the Doctor while still maintaining the same character. Of course, the concept of regeneration, especially when regeneration is baked into the show and has been for so long that it just feels like it's always been there with the show, because it's been there most of the time with the show, to the fact where most people very early in their introduction to Doctor Who, they become very aware of regeneration. It's not something that takes a Doctor Who fan to find out about, whether they're watching it or whether they're hearing it from other people, seeing it online, they understand that different actors play this character and he's replaced every few years. I think that's one of the reasons why Eccleston only doing one season can actually be a good thing, as much as I love Eccleston in the role. But by pure coincidence, him only doing the one season introduced a brand new generation to the concept of regeneration and the concept of a new person taking over this role early. It wasn't like, imagine if they'd started with Tennant and he did 3 seasons and then he left. And then you have these people who started series 1 with Tennant, had 3 seasons with him, and then suddenly he's gone and they have to get used to a new guy. Having Eccleston only do a season eases people into the idea of regeneration. And I actually think that looking back, that works really well. And so you have this very clever way of changing out the main character and having all of these different actors who are, of course, bringing their own thing to the role while still usually adhering to the core principles of the character, to where the character still feels like a version of that character, usually. It's these in conjunction, these two main things, that the ability to travel anywhere in time and space and the ability to rotate out your cast, including even the Master being a Time Lord. Again, you can have different people play the Master so you can keep bringing this character back, is what's really made Doctor Who last for over 60 years. That, and the fact you have had oftentimes a lot of clever people also behind the sets. You have had amazing writers, amazing producers, amazing script editors, amazing showrunners. You've had a lot of people involved in this show that really believed in it. All the way back to Sidney Newman and Verity Lambert, who really seemed like they believed in this show. I mean, Sidney, I believe it was Sidney that let them reshoot the pilot episode, An Unearthly Child, a second time. Because he had faith in the show. Verity had faith in the show. David Whittaker had faith in the show. So you have a lot of talented, passionate people who were determined to make this show work. All the way from 1963, all the way to, I don't know if now is quite accurate, but for a long time. Now, some of them did it better than others. There's, every era is going to have somebody who's not a fan of that era, who thinks that era is overrated. I'm sure there are people out there who think the Hinchcliffe era, even if they don't think it's bad, they probably think it's overrated. They're wrong. But are people who think the Russell T. Davies era is overrated or that it's not as good. It's not good. While there are also people out there who think the Whittaker era is great for some reason. It does have some good episodes in it. But possibly the weakest era the show's done. That, although the Russell T. Davies 2 era is also vying for that position, while also having some strong episodes. I thought Series 2 was pretty consistently good until the 2-part finale. Or Season 2, I guess I should say. Season 2. But I thought it was pretty solid B-tier Doctor Who up until the end. So I'm actually really fascinated by Doctor Who, because there's no other show like it. There's no other show like Doctor Who. I mean, no TV show that has run the way it has. I mean, even you look at Star Trek and all the different Star Trek shows, but they're separate shows with separate characters. That's why they're not all just called Star Trek. There's Star Trek, which dumb people now call Star Trek the original series, but it's just Star Trek. That's what the credits say. It's Star Trek. You don't need to put a colon. You don't need to capitalize the original series because that's not the name of the show. I literally want to smack people when I see them do that. So you have Star Trek. That's what it's called. If you want to put in parentheses the original series and all lowercase letters, fine. But don't put a colon and put the... I literally want to smack people. And then you have Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager. They're all called different things because they're all technically different shows, even if they're in the same continuity. Whereas Doctor Who is always just Doctor Who. It's not... the show is not actually called Classic Doctor Who, Modern Doctor Who. It's all just Doctor Who. Because it's one show, even though we know, yes, I know Classic Doctor Who and Modern Doctor Who are different beasts. I'm not trying to say they aren't. But at the same time, they're all supposed to be really one show. Different parts of the same show with the same main character. And it's always nice when Classic Who characters show up in Modern Who. As long as they're written well, which they yeah, been pretty well. I mean, at this point, even some modern characters feel classic. You know, I love seeing Captain Jack come back. That was great. I liked him in Revolution of the Daleks, which I like Revolution of the Daleks, to be honest. So, I just think it's fascinating that Doctor Who, there's no other show quite like Doctor Who. I have a lot of other sci-fi shows I like, of course. I mean, well, you can't really see them in camera range. I love the original Battlestar Galactica. I like Star Trek. I like older Star Wars. Love Babylon 5. You know, there's all sorts. The Twilight Zone. I love the Twilight Zone. I really appreciate Colin sending me the Twilight Zone. Night Gallery, stuff like that. Although that's less sci-fi and more horror, but you get what I mean. But there's nothing quite like Doctor Who that has the longevity of Doctor Who. And it's because Doctor Who can do anything. Now, to be fair, the writers don't do that. And I kind of wish they would. I love when they come up with something creative. But the potential is there to do anything. You can go anywhere, any when. The Doctor could even go back to a planet he's been to before at a different point in his history and have a totally different story. You look at Androzani in the Caves of Androzani, and then Androzani, although I can't remember which one's major and which one's minor, in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe when it's all trees. Now, I don't know if they're on minor in one and major on the other, but they look very different because there's different points in their history, which that kind of thing fascinates me. I like the idea of the Doctor going to a planet he's been to before, but it's way in the future and way in the past, and it's almost totally different, but it's a neat little name drop. Or he can go to the future of Earth, the past of Earth, technically an alternate dimension. I wish they'd do alternate dimensions more. Inferno still does that best, let's be honest. But yeah, and then you can change the character out. Bring new actors in. So many good actors have played this role so well over the years. It's just unique. There's nothing like it. So I want to know what you think. What makes Doctor Who unique for you, and what would you like to see Doctor Who do in the future? Comment down below, and let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down there. I also want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, Sam, Venning, Finn, Perkins, and Unknown289. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. I also have a P.O. box. If there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review, I love getting fan mail. Makes my day. I always do unboxings. I have a link to the Amazon wish list down there, the Amazon UK wish list down there, all that fun stuff as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching.